So I had a couple of other, one of the things I wanted to ask you about, we say a lot, I've heard it said at Science of Mind at CSL is, we speak about creating a world that works for everyone. Can you touch on that, Gary, and paint a little picture, if you would, about what's intended behind that, and why do we say that, and what does it mean?
Well, love is all there is, and the rest we made up. So, the first time I heard that, I was okay. Just imagine if everyone had an unconditional love for the next person. Would you be worried about how many potatoes you had, or would you give a couple to somebody that you know? You can use any analogy you want, but this world is so abundant. There's so much money. There's so much everything to go around. It just seems that we're not willing to share that. Because we're brought up also, to take care of ourselves and kind of there's that fear. I might not have enough when I get older. The lack mentality. But I think for me, it's just where we can all share, just share. And we believe that everybody would be better off if we just shared. There's so much to go around. And an opportunity where everybody can learn to start thinking different, to have different results. We don't want to be a secret anymore. There's over 600 centers. We're the only one in Connecticut. So that's why we're doing things like this to, kind of invite other people, get their curiosity up enough to come in. You can sit in the back, nobody's going to say anything. I like to, when I go somewhere new, I like to sit in the back too, so I can leave if it gets too weird. So we have some seats in the back for if you want to come in and sit there. It's all good.
I think a lot of us, including the Reverend, started sitting at the back, right?
Right.
Waiting for a way to bail out.
Yeah.
But
go back and look at his interview if you do. It's on our Facebook. You did a great interview with Dana. You guys spent a lot of time. He answered a lot of questions for you.
He did.
I loved watching. It was better the second time.
Yeah, he definitely dove in.
I owe everything to him, to Jackie Bavar for her teaching here at the center, but Reverend Patrick, become a friend, a mentor, just an amazing person.
Gary, at what point did you know that you wanted to pursue becoming a practitioner?
Well, I never really did. I wanted to take the classes for myself. I was being very selfish at that time. So that's another word we can talk about later, but it's not a bad thing. So I just started taking them for myself. I knew I had a lot of work to do to change some of my old beliefs. I mean, I was raised that if you had any money, you were no good and you were stealing it from other people. Totally false. Has no truth at all. But I bought into that and I believed that. And I didn't want to be that kind of person. So guess what? Never had any money. Hand in hand, right? There's a reaction to every action. That's just the way nature works. The leaves fall off in the spring, they come back up. You don't have to do anything. It automatically happens. So when you open up to new things come in. You can't drive the new car if you're still hanging on to the old one. It's one of Reverend Patrick's kind of, you got to let go of some of that and make room. I got way off topic on that one. I'm sure I did.
It's all right. It happens. It's all good, right? As you would say.
Yeah, it's all good. And one of my favorite is right action is always taking place.
I love it.
And knowing that, I don't have to worry about things. I think about things, but I don't worry about them. And that's kind of hard for a lot of people to get sometimes. So it's not that I don't care. It's not that I don't care. It comes off that way sometimes. I'm like, don't worry, it'll be fine. And it may come off that way that I don't care, but I have an incredible faith in right action taking place. And I know that spirit, the God, is always listening. So if I'm saying the right things, it knows exactly what to give me. The universe is like a mother, right? Mother wants to give a child everything, but sometimes the mother doesn't know what the child wants. and the mom tries, but it might not be right. And so if we're kind of inconsistent in our message to God, it's going to be reflected in our results, in our experience.
It's that's some serious truth right there. Kind of just got me thinking.
I love to do that. That's one of my favorite things to do.
You know, and it's funny because I've witnessed an experience where people that are used to worrying about stuff, when they come across somebody or they have to connect and work with, or, you know, live with somebody who doesn't worry or, you know, stress, it's difficult for them to kind of comprehend, you know, how it's like, how could you not care, right? And they think that you don't care, like you said, but it's a big difference. It's people sometimes have a tough time differentiating caring and stressing. You know, you can care about something, but stressing about it is a totally different conversation. And I find it interesting just to watch people kind of get those two mixed up at times. And, you know, I used to be guilty of it as well. You know, I would, if somebody wasn't stressing about something that I was stressing about, I right away thought they didn't care. And people would say, oh, I care. No, you don't. Not as much as I do, obviously, you know. And then my own selfish needs would kind of take priority in that particular moment, because they weren't stressing or worrying as much as I thought that they should.
Right.
But
well, the only thing that we can control is our own thinking. Another realization: we can't control other people. We can control how we think about it and how we react. But we can't change other people. So it's
you know, I agree with that and I disagree with that at the same time, because
you can influence.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always say, be an example. Just be an example where, you know, someone can say, how did you do that? And then just tell them the truth, you know, instead of trying to convince somebody, oh, you should start doing this differently or start doing that.
Yeah, that doesn't work all that well. So, you know,
It causes what we call separation between the two, and there's only oneness. So when you create separation by being jealous and being, you know, just judging, you're creating separation, which really is kind of an opposite thing to really what you want in life.
right.
Hard truth there. Some of the things will definitely challenge you.
Oh yeah.
But in a loving, fun way. You'll walk away laughing at yourself. I mean, that's what I found. I was like, oh my God, I couldn't even believe, how did I adapt that kind of thinking when you have that aha moment? You're like, oh my goodness, how did that even happen? But
yeah, you know, it's quite humorous how foolish we can be and not even be the slightest bit aware of it.
Right.
Until all of a sudden you are aware of it. You're like, oh, you know, what was I thinking? Like, wow, it really is mind blowing. But yeah, the center has certainly changed my life and opened up my eyes. And as a result, you know, I've been able to learn how to be an example, and to be a positive example of that.
Yep, definitely. You've helped a lot of people. You don't even know. You don't know.
That's all I want to do in my life is, you know, to be an example, and to, you know, it took me a long time. I was very stubborn, Gary.
You weren't alone. You're not alone.
You know, I think, you know, when the pain, I heard this in you know, in recovery, when the pain gets great enough, you know, we become willing. And I'll tell you what, my tolerance for pain is unlike a lot of people's.
You get used to it. You accept it as normal.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, my tolerance for spiritual and emotional pain is significantly high. Physical pain, I'm a baby when it comes to physical pain. But but that emotional and spiritual pain just became a way of life for me. And you know, going against the tide.
You know, you really, the message, you don't have to accept where you are if you're not happy. Your acceptance of it will actually keep you there. So you need to get beyond that and let more joy in. And it starts with knowing that there's more available, right? If we think there's only so much, then it's in opposition to what our thought is. But Reverend Patrick had told me once, he said, you're a spiritual being having a human experience, which means that you have a body, you're not your body. Like you have a car, you're not your car. So we have a brain, but we're not our brain. So we could use our brain as a tool, like you would use your hands and your feet. You can make your brain go to work for you. I always thought that was in there, you know, you're born with that. Some people had it, some people didn't, right? So again, you accept where you're at. Just not knowing the truth, not knowing that there's so much more, you just accept where you're at. And that's kind of a sad way to live.
Yeah, well, that way of living, if you want to call it that, you know, existing is really what brought me to suffer tremendously, and you know, brought me to my knees, heroin addiction, and all of that, just struggle and strife. But I'm grateful for all of it, because it all eventually I got tired. You know,
Yeah,
eventually it took a lot, but I got tired and I became willing, and I was always seeking. You know, and I think that's what, you know, the thing with like this center was that I knew. I think that instinct. I knew that what I was seeking, I was going to find at the center there. I had attended different centers before and different religions and things like that. But they always kind of just reinstated that helpless feeling. And I knew that there had to be a different way. Like, you know, I knew that God didn't make us to just be weak and to be, you know, helpless and hopeless. He created us so that we can be and have and do and all of those things in which we desire. If we only learn the true power that we possess, that was given to us. And the center has certainly opened my eyes up to that and freed me from a lot of that pain and suffering. I can't even begin to think where I would be. And
yeah, don't go there. Don't go there.
I don't even want to think, because that's a scary.
Don't put any energy over there.
Yeah, no, way too much. Like just for a second there, you know, it's like my blurry background right here. I can see it's kind of like the whole like thought process over there is like blurry, like, ooh, get out of there. You know, but